Welcome to Wealthy Muslim Woman Podcast, a resource for Muslim women to learn about money, how to create it, grow it, and to protect it. Money's easy. All that's needed is the right mindset. I'm your host, Dr. Saima Ali, with life coaching tools to truly help you create wealth in all areas of your life. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Wealthy Muslim Woman Podcast. This episode is very close to my heart. One of my best friends from high school published her own book, and I just couldn't wait to talk to her about it, how she got there, and how she published, and what her plans are in the future. I do not have any creative or artistic skills in me, but I am blessed to have friends who do and are amazing artists. So she wrote a book, and I am going to read her introduction to you as it should be in her own words because I just cannot be creative enough with these introductions. So, Sana Fayaz, my best friend from high school, is a creative who loves being a student of life. She enjoys the beauty of a beginner's mind. She took root in the crowded streets of Pakistan, sprouted in the concrete jungles of New York, and bloomed in the deserts of Saudi Arabia. She spent a couple of years there after she got married, and we're so happy to have her back in the US. She's also known as the sacred keeper of memories, religious gathering meaningful moments through writing as a way to connect with humans and building bridges across chasms. Honestly, I don't even know what half of these words mean. Anyways, she is currently residing in suburban New York with her husband and three beautiful, beautiful daughters. And she is just a furry pet away from living the white picket fence American dream, inshallah. And she has her own website, which you can visit at sanafayaz.com. And you can message her there and connect with her further. And without any further words from me, I'd like to take you to our talk that we did together. I hope you enjoy. So, Sana, thank you so much for coming on to this podcast. I can't tell you how proud I am to be talking to you as an author. I can remember you always saying that you want to be a writer, and I never doubted that you will be an amazing author and have publications and every day. But still, to be in this position after you have written and you are an author, it just feels amazing. So, thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you so much, Saima. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here.
Okay, thank you. So first, before I start asking all my questions, can you tell us a little about yourself? How did you become an author? What do you like to do? Where do you live? Just a little bit about your life.
Okay, so I was born in Pakistan and I came to the US when I was 10. I grew up here in New York, and when I got married, I got the opportunity to live in Riyadh and Jeddah. So I've been always moving around through different cultures, East and West. And currently, I reside in East Meadow, New York, with my three kids and my husband. And growing up, I used to write, but just for myself. And I took some creative writing courses, which I really enjoyed. And I also had some teachers and professors tell me that maybe you should write for a living. But you know how that is in South Asian families. Writing is not really considered a serious vocation. It's either, you have to be a doctor, you have to be an accountant, something that's viable and more financially sound. So I never really thought that I should be a writer. So I went towards other avenues. And then I had kids, and I was mostly like a homemaker. I really actually didn't have a career. And just this last year, I've been talking about being a writer, and I shared that with you for so many years, but I actually never got down to sit and write and share that with the world. And finally, 2020 was the year. I mean, it was a year where it was very difficult for so many people. And at the same time, it gave me this opportunity to pause and actually give this writing thing a shot and share it with the world.
That's awesome. So I know you wanted to be a writer always, but when did you realize that you could publish and be like a professional writer and actually publish and write books?
So before it was mostly like a dream, like an airy fairy dream that, oh yeah, I'm going to write these wonderful books and people are going to read them. I'm going to be on the New York Times bestseller list, as all dreams are. They're not very tangible. And just last year, I joined this community where there were writers. And in this community, we got to share our work. I got to see their work. They got to see mine. And it was something really beautiful. It was like this beautiful cocoon where we were just nourishing each other. So something that I would write might inspire someone else, and something that they would write or make music out of that would inspire me. And I just saw how this creativity force is so magical. Like it has this opportunity for us to really change our own stories. So I thought, why have my work be collecting dust where it can just go out in the world and actually impact someone? Like whatever I might write might resonate with someone, and that just makes it all worth it.
That's awesome. And where are you in your journey right now? How many books have you published and how many are on the way?
Well, I would say I'm a baby author right now. So I have written one book. It's called Chai Chats, Personal Essays to Fill Your Cup. And currently I'm writing a first draft of a memoir. It's about the time I had lost my daughter. So I'm currently working on that one, but Chai Chats is on Amazon.
Okay, awesome. And where do you usually get your ideas and information to write your book from?
For me, every single day is an inspiration. So like little moments where I'm spending time with my kids, we're just cleaning up the house. I'll find like little tidbits, moments from there, and I like to craft stories from there. I like to make connections. Like just a few days ago, I was brushing my oldest daughter's hair, and she has massive hair now because, COVID happened and we didn't get to have a haircut for more than a year now. And
Hmm.
I was just thinking, and we had this conversation where she was saying, "Oh, mom, I want to be on Minecraft and, all these other wonderful gaming things that the kids have." And I was like, "Oh no, you can't be on that because, I don't feel comfortable." And I thought, this is what Rapunzel's mom must feel like because, she made this big tower and she constructed this tower to make her safe. And I was like, oh wait, that's a really great connection that I could write about.
Oh wow, that is pretty amazing actually. Yeah, how protective we are as parents and then the limitations that we have when we are making them ready to go into this world.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So how long does it usually take you to write a book or an essay or like a segment?
Well, if it's an essay, I would say it would take me a week. And for something like a book, it takes much longer. I've been working on this book for a year now.
Wow.
And sometimes inspiration strikes. That's not all the time. But when it does strike, it could be done in a day. I'm talking about an essay. But that also happens when you're like showing up every single day and you have your butt in the chair and you're writing. It doesn't happen like out of the blues and inspiration might strike you, because we have these thoughts where, oh yeah, the muse will come and I will think of something great. The muse only comes to you when you're writing every single day.
That's interesting. So would you say you find writing process to be exhausting at times or more inspiring? Because we look at artists like, painters and even authors and other artists as something that they're doing something that they love. But does it also come at an emotional cost of exhaustion and other things?
It definitely does. Yeah, I just recently watched the movie Soul. I'm not sure if you saw it.
Yes, I loved it. It was so
Yeah,
amazing.
I loved it too. And it's, when the main character, he says, oh yeah, this is my purpose in life to be a musician. And I was like, I can so relate to him. Like, I feel like this is I just started this writing thing and I've always wanted to do it. This is my purpose. But then at the same time, we're also, this is a part of your life. The real message was to, enjoy every single moment. And are you enjoying, like, sometimes you can be so absorbed into this that you get it because instead of, making it as a point of nourishment, it could also be something that takes away from your life. So you
Yeah.
really have to have a balance. Like, it still should sustain and nourish you.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, it should be challenging enough that you want to do it. So there
Wow.
is an emotional cost to it because right now I'm writing the book in, one of the most challenging times in my life when I had lost my daughter. And while I'm writing it, I can feel the physical pain of that whole process all over again. It's as if I'm reliving that whole trauma.
Hmm.
Uh, I have to really, you know, do a lot of self care.
Wow. What are you calling that book that you're writing?
I have no idea yet.
No title
I'm
yet?
in that, yeah, I'm in that process where I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna write and it will come to me
Yeah.
when, yeah.
Yeah. And I know the purpose of that book is to share your own emotions and your own journey that you went through. But I'm sure it also it'll also relate to so many moms who have lost their babies and what they went through. Any special message from that book that you would like to discuss or pass on today?
I think the main message I would want the readers to take away from that book is as a society, we shy away from grief.
Mm-hmm.
And grief is something that we need to be present for. And we have this idea that once we're healed from grief, once we go to X amount of therapy sessions, we'll be done and over with. And there will come a point where we will look back at it and we'll be like, yes, we are healed. That is not how grief works. It's something of a spiral. You keep on revisiting it over and over again, and that is okay. As
Yeah.
long as you're growing, as long as you're brave enough and courageous enough to face that grief head on, it's completely worth it.
And that was something I learned from you. We do shy away from grief as a society, and we try not to talk about the people who have passed away, and especially babies for the mother, because we think it's going to cause more grief for the mom, and they won't like it. They won't want to talk about it. But I think what I learned from you was that you did want to talk about your daughter, and you didn't want to forget her. You didn't want people to forget her, thinking that she didn't exist. But she did exist. She was a person and she was here, and we can talk about her. And now we talk about her on her birthday, and remember her. And that was really a beautiful lesson that I learned from you. I used to not talk to women who had lost their kids about their kids. And yeah, and I guess that part is avoiding grief and trying to be shying away from it. So, and the mother is always in that part, I guess. She's always experiencing that. So it's not like, we may bring it on more, I guess.
Yeah, it's about honoring that person who was there.
Yeah. Yeah. And then in the future, do you know which path you want to take as an author? Do you want to write about fiction, nonfiction, any other genre?
Well, when I started out, remember I used to tell you I want to write children's stories?
Yes.
That's what I wanted to do. And for some reason, what really came naturally for me was writing about my own stories,
Mm-hmm.
like my own everyday today living. And that genre is called memoir.
Hmm.
And currently I'm writing a memoir because I really appreciate authors who write fiction because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow, you guys have such a rich imagination. For some reason, at this point in my life, nonfiction flows out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just respecting that.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I really love your writing. Like whenever I'm reading it, I feel like I'm really present in the moment and I can see everything happening. I remember the first time you shared your writing, but you didn't tell me that it was your writing. You just sent something and it seemed like an essay or something. And I just started reading it and I thought, oh wow, this is such a beautiful book. I'm gonna ask her, what book is this? I want to get the full book and read it. And I didn't realize it was your writing until I read the names of the characters, which was your family members. and
That's so cute.
and since I had been to your home, I could like really picture you being there in your kitchen with the boiling and everybody complaining and being there. So it was just, and that's the moment I was like, wow, she is an amazing writer. Like, before we talk about our dreams and stuff, and everybody says they want to do this and do that, but we don't really see it until you see the actual evidence. So that was just like so beautiful to see that. And then even your book, when you wrote it, I've read, first parts of it. I'm still like going through it, given the maternity and everything. It's been
Yes.
a little time consuming with other things, but I still love it. And I know you're gonna be a great author and everything. You are a great author. I know you're gonna be very famous and everything too.
Thank you, Saima. And I just want to take this moment to say I still remember, I think this was 2 years ago, and you sent me a gift. And it was a journal with a really wonderful pen. And I still have that mug with me right here. I know people can't see it, but it's a mug which says I'm a writer and you might be killed in a story. So that gift meant a lot to me. You have no idea because at that point, I wasn't actively writing for people. I was just writing for myself. And to have that one person who really believes in your dreams, that's something very, like, it can change your world. So thank you so much for always believing,
Yay.
even when I wasn't, like out there and not sharing my writing.
Yay. That's awesome. So, what does it take to get a book published? I know a lot of things have changed over recent years. How did you publish your book? What was the process of that?
Well, nowadays it's so accessible. Like if you're a hard worker,
Hmm.
you can publish a book. So, you have to have the resilience, first of all, and you have to believe in your message, whatever message you're trying to convey. You have to really believe in it because writing a book is not easy. I mean, it is easy now, like the whole publishing process. I published mine through Amazon KDP. Like
Hmm.
you can upload it, the software is really nice, and then in a day or two your book is published. So if you're
Oh.
going the self-published route,
Hmm. And
I don't know, I haven't dealt with traditional publishing yet.
hmm.
So the self-publishing route is fairly very easy,
Okay.
but every single day you have to come and sit down and write words.
Okay. And who
Whether
did?
it's like 200 words per day, you have to consistently write. And this is not a lone effort. I used to think like, oh yeah, just write a book, that's it, right? You have editors, you have the person who's going to do your cover art, and there's a lot of collaboration involved in this
Okay.
process.
Yeah. I was going to actually ask you about your cover photo. It's really beautiful. How did you design that, or who did that?
Well, actually, I came up with it myself. So I photographed it.
Oh.
I went hunting for a chai picture and I wasn't able to find one. So I thought, why not create my own? One day I just brewed like 4 cups of chai and I found the nicest teapot that I had, which was gifted by my mom on a birthday.
Hmm.
And, the teapots never usually come out unless there are guests
Right.
coming over. So I poured that in there. I started taking pictures of, chai pouring in a cup. And I finally landed on a picture that I really liked.
Wow, I really loved it. I thought it was a professionally done picture from some photographers. It looks really nice. So, any message you would like to pass on to somebody who wants to be a writer, what they can do, especially somebody who might be young? Now, I know in college you majored in accounting, it was not writing. So, can they major in something else and still want to be a writer, or what would you suggest to them?
Definitely. So many of the authors who I have had the pleasure of working with, currently I'm working with an author in one of her mastermind groups. So she actually has a master's in creative writing, MFA,
Hmm.
and she says that degrees don't really matter. What really matters is that you want to write something and you want to show up for it every single day. It sounds very simple, but like when you do it, it's not that simple. So it really doesn't matter what degree you have.
Mm,
You don't have to have a writer's degree,
okay.
and you have to really believe in yourself. Like sometimes, I'm reading over my first draft, and I'm thinking, what in the world? Like, who's gonna read this? That critical voice comes out.
Right.
You just have to trust the process and stick with it.
Okay. And who is your favorite author?
Oh, I have many favorite authors. Right now, I'm reading this book called The Return by
Hmm.
Hisham Matar, and it's an awesome book. I definitely recommend it.
Okay. And if you could be any character in a book, who would you choose and why?
That's such a difficult question. Okay. Wow. So I'm thinking about the classics right now. I don't know if I would want to be a character in the book. Like,
Yeah. Maybe in your own books that you are writing, where you are writing about yourself.
yeah, I'm writing
They-
about myself. Yeah, I don't think I would like to be a character because, knowing what they went through,
Mhm.
it's like, I know what's going to happen to you.
So I guess writing your own story as time passes.
Like, I like to be, when I'm reading a fiction story
Mhm.
or even memoir, it's really nice. What's really fun about memoir is, you get to glean over someone's life and, but you're not in their shoes, but you can feel it. So you get to have that experience without going through the pain that they went through. That's,
Mm. Yeah, that's a good perspective, actually.
yeah.
Yeah. Any other words of wisdom that you would like to pass on today?
I guess I would just like to say that everyone has a voice. I know it sounds very cliche. You have a voice, but if you just give yourself permission, if you don't show up for yourself, whatever you want to do, whether it's writing, whether it's playing music, anything that, there's an inner child in you that had that dream, that wanted to do something, it's a good time, whatever age or, part of life you're in, try something out of your comfort zone. Like, let's say if it is writing that you're interested in. My therapist used to say, she was, I told her like, oh, my life sucks, and I really want to do something. And she said, what do you want to do if you were given the chance? And I told her I want to be a writer. So she said, what are you doing about it? And I said, I'm not doing anything. And she said, why don't you sit down every single day and write for 5 minutes? See how that feels.
Hmm.
So I started doing that, and you wouldn't believe it, but little things like little blocks along the way, they amount to something really huge.
Hmm.
People have written books, people have written published works, writing 200 words a day, but they were consistent. So you
Yeah.
could build up something if you really want to.
Yeah, I think especially being a mom, and you've done that as well. You've been a stay-at-home mom for a good many years. I think that's a lot of women struggle with that, where they see themselves as the mom and the homemaker, and they aspire to be on the outside and do something extra, but they just feel like they don't have the time, or they don't have that motivation being with the kids. So how did you feel about that, and how did you overcome that if you also experienced that?
Yeah, well, I've been on both ends where I was thinking when the kids were really young, like, oh, I have no time to myself. And when you're there, it feels like this is going to last forever. When I'm sure, Sama, you're dealing with this right now. You have a newborn,
Hmm.
and nights are like, you don't even get a full night's rest.
Yes.
So it's really difficult to imagine that this will be over. It might not be over soon, but a few years down the road, these kids will be on their own.
Yeah.
And what did I do to cultivate my own life? So just even having, like, when the kids would go to sleep, I would have my iPhone and
Mm-hmm.
I would pull up a Word document and start writing
Mm-hmm.
there. So whatever little habits that you can cultivate and make it a nourishing practice. Maybe you wake up earlier than everyone else and 5-10 minutes you honor whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I know it sounds very difficult, but once you start and once you're like, really connected, you will you will see how fun it is and you will actually make the time for it. When your kid is sleeping, you're like, okay, I can't wait to write, and you'll actually do it. So first you have to actually start and see how fun that is for you.
Yeah. And mashallah, your kids are not, old and grown and out of the house yet. I mean, they're still really young too. So you're still experiencing that as well. It's not same as a newborn where they're waking you up to eat every 2 hours, but
Yeah.
they're still young. You have school and all that. So mashallah, you're able to do it still as a mom who's taking care of three young kids and published author now as well. So mashallah, that's very, very amazing achievement. So thank you so much for doing this again. And inshallah, I'd love to do this again, especially once your next memoir is more in the works and about to be published. I'd love to for you to come back and share more with us on that. So
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for having me, Simon. This was a pleasure. It's actually a dream come true.